Relative pronouns. Who, which, that easy guide. Relative pronouns are essential in making our sentences more fluid and informative. They help us connect two ideas into one sentence by referring back to a noun or pronoun mentioned earlier. We call this a defining clause because it provides more information or a definition for the noun or pronoun. The most commonly used relative pronouns are who, whom, whose, which, and that. For example, in the sentence, "The teacher who helped me pass the exam," the word who refers to the teacher and introduces more information about them. Use who and whom for people, which for things or animals, and that for both people and things in defining clauses. Who shows possession? Understanding how to use these correctly can greatly improve both your writing and speaking skills in English. Let's explore each one with examples so you can master them with confidence. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. And if you enjoy this video, make sure to click the like button as well. Without further ado, let's get started. Who? This relative pronoun is used to refer to people. It is the subject of the verb in the defining clause. For example, my sister, who is a doctor, lives in London. In this sentence, who is the subject of the verb is in the defining clause, who is a doctor. We use who when we want to provide more information about the person. Who is the subject pronoun. If we need to use a different pronoun, then we need to look at the noun it refers to. Here, my sister is a feminine noun, so we should use her, not him. So the correct version of the sentence would be my sister, who is a doctor, lives in London. Who versus whom. There is a common misconception that who and whom are used interchangeably, but this is not always the case. Who is a subject pronoun, while whom is an object pronoun. For example, who did you go to the movies with? In this question, we are asking who was the object of the verb go, and therefore we should use whom. On the other hand, whom are you referring to is incorrect. Instead, you could say who are you referring to or who do you mean? Let's look at another example. The man to whom the dog belongs is my uncle. In this sentence, whom is the object of the preposition to in the defining clause. To whom is correct. But if we change the sentence slightly, we need to change the pronoun as well. For example, the man to whom the dog belongs is my uncle. Now, who is the subject of the verb belongs, so we should use who, not whom. The man who the dog belongs to is my uncle. Remember, who is a subject pronoun and whom is an object pronoun? Whose is a possessive pronoun, so it shows possession. It is used for both people and things. For example, is this the car whose battery you were talking about? In this sentence, whose is used to show possession. The battery belongs to the car. If we want to say which car, we would say, which is the car whose battery you were talking about? That is a relative pronoun used for both people and things. Unlike who, that is used for both subjects and objects. For example, this is the book that I was looking for. In this sentence, that is the object of the verb looking for. However, we can also use that as a subject. It sings beautifully in this sentence. That is the subject of the verb sings. When we use that as a subject, the verb must agree with it. So if that is singular, the verb must be singular as well. For example, that runs fast. But if that is plural, the verb must be plural as well. These are the students that get good grades. In this sentence, that is plural because it refers to these students, so the verb get is also plural, which this relative pronoun is used for things or animals. For example, which bike is yours? We use which to refer to things or animals. Let's practice using which in different situations. Here are some examples. Which is your favorite color? Which house is your friend's? Which book did you enjoy reading the most? Which time would you like to meet? Which dress do you think looks better on me? All these questions, we are referring to things, so it is appropriate to use which vs that. Both which and that can be used for things. For example, which smartphone do you have? The chocolate cake that I baked is on the table. Both sentences are grammatically correct, but there is a slight difference in meaning. When we use which, we usually have a limited number of options in mind, and we are trying to choose one. For example, which shirt do you like better? We have 2 shirts, and we are trying to choose one. However, when we use that, we are talking about something specific. For example, the chocolate cake that I baked is on the table. We're talking about a specific cake, and there are no other options. Which vs that. There is one more difference between which and that. When we use which, we usually put it in a defining clause. However, when we use that, we can put it in a defining clause or a non-defining clause. A non-defining clause provides extra information about a noun or pronoun and is not essential to the meaning of the sentence. For example, the chocolate cake that I baked is on the table. The information in parentheses is extra information and is not essential to the meaning of the sentence. The sentence would still make sense without it. In this case, we use a comma before and after the non-defining clause. Let's look at another example. My brother, who is a doctor, lives in New York. In this sentence, who is a doctor is a defining clause because it provides essential information about my brother. For example, my brother is a doctor, or my brother who is a doctor lives in New York. In this sentence, who is a doctor is a non-defining clause because it provides extra information about my brother. The sentence would still make sense without it. In this case, we use a comma before and after the non-defining clause. Now that you know the basic rules for using who, whom, whose, which, and that it's time to practice using them in different sentences, try to choose the right relative pronoun for each situation. Let me show you an example. The relative pronoun who is used to refer to people, whose is used to show possession, which is used to refer to things or animals, and that is used for both people and things. Let's look at this sentence. The woman _bag was stolen was very upset. In this sentence, the bag was stolen from the woman. So we need to use whose because it shows possession. The woman whose bag was stolen was very upset. Let's look at another example. I met a man _son is my age. In this sentence, we are talking about the man and his son, so we need to use whose because it shows possession. I met a man whose son is my age. Let's look at another example. Do you know the name of the restaurant you went last night? In this sentence, we are asking about a specific restaurant. So we need to use that because it refers to a specific thing. Do you know the name of the restaurant that you went to last night? Well done. You have just completed the first exercise. Now it's time to move on to the next one. In this video, we learned about the 5 most common relative pronouns: who, whom, whose, which, and that. We also learned how to use each of them in different situations. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful to you. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to learn more about English grammar, stay tuned for more videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.